Hello, fourth graders. Today for lesson 4.6, our goal is that I can write equations for comparison problems using information from a pictograph and a bar graph. So in other words, we're writing those comparison equations like we have been for the last couple of days, but we're using information that we're getting from a pictograph and a bar graph. First, we'll start out by taking a look at this pictograph. And if you notice, at the bottom right-hand corner of the picture, it has a key for us. So for every book picture that you see, it's actually equal to 5 books that are checked out of the library. The first problem I want us to take a look at is the problem that says, write an addition equation and a subtraction equation that compare the number of books Tyreek checked out using the letter T. So I'll write that down for us so we remember. T for Tyreek, to the number of books Jamarcus checked out using the letter J. So if we take a look, Tyreek's column of books is here, and Jamarcus is here. We need to write an addition equation as well as a subtraction equation to compare the two. To make things a little easier, I'm going to total out the number of books that Tyreek checked out as well as how many books Jamarcus checked out. So let's count how many books Tyreek checked out. Remember, each book is worth 5, so we'll count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So Tyreek checked out 30 books. I hope he checked them in on time. If he was in Mrs. Yant's library, she would not be happy if he had all of those books checked out at the same time. And Jamarcus checked out 5, 10, 15 books. So how many more books did Tyreek check out than Jamarcus? Well, Tyreek checked out 30, Jamarcus checked out 15, so that means Tyreek checked out 15 more books than Jamarcus. If we were to write an addition equation to show that, remember we have to use J for the amount that Jamarcus checked out and T for the amount that Tyreek checked out. So if we were to write an addition problem to show that, the total would be how many Tyreek checked out, the 30. We are trying to figure out how many more Tyreek checked out than Jamarcus. So Jamarcus would be J plus, we said 15, is equal to how many books Tyreek checked out. So in other words, 15, which is how many Jamarcus checked out, plus 15 is equal to how many books Tyreek checked out, which was 30. So the equation would be J plus 15 is equal to T. Now we need to write a subtraction equation to show the comparison between the number of books Tyreek checked out versus the number of books Jamarcus checked out. So we have to start with the big number. The big number is the number of books Tyreek checked out, so we'd start with T, minus 15 is equal to the number of books Jamarcus checked out. So this would be the subtraction equation that we would use. In other words, it would be if we filled in what the T and the J stood for, Tyreek's amount is 30 minus 15 books is equal to what Jamarcus checked out. Now we are going to write multiplication and division equations to show comparisons using this pictograph. So what I would like you to do is to turn to page 205 in your student workbook and look at number 2. The question says, write a multiplication equation and a division equation that compare the number of books that Nahi checked out using N to the number of books Celine checked out using C. To help us get started, let's take a look at how many books Nahi and Celine actually checked out. So remember, we're counting by 5s. So it looks like Nahi checked out 5, 10 books. where Celine checked out 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So what you're trying to figure out is how many times more books did Celine check out than Nahi? So 10 times what would give us 40? Well, we know that 10 times 4 is equal to 40, but it asked us to use our variables or the first letters of their names to write an equation. So the multiplication equation that we would write would be 4 times 10, or N for Nahi, is equal to how many books Celine checked out, which was 40. And if we were to write a division problem, we would just do the opposite, or the inverse. So we would take C divided by 4 is equal to N, or the number of books that Nahi checked out. Now we're going to be taking a look at a bar graph to compare the information that the bar graph gives us. And the first problem I want us to look at says, write an addition equation and a subtraction equation that compare the number of home runs Susie hits using the letter S to the number of home runs that Kim hits using the letter K. So if we take a look at Susie, it looks like Susie has hit 8 home runs and Kim has hit 2 home runs. So if we start with our addition fact and we start with how many Kim hit, so K, or 2, plus what would give us how many Susie hit? Well, we know that 2 plus 6 is equal to 8, and so that would be the addition equation that we would use, and then the subtraction would be just the opposite. So S minus 6 would equal 2, or the number of home runs that Kim has hit. Now I want you to go ahead and open up your workbooks to page 206, and we're going to look at number 7. Number 7 says, write a multiplication equation and a division equation that compare the number of home runs Greta hit using the letter G and the number of runs Fred hit using the letter F. Let's first take a look at how many home runs each of these people hit. So it looks like Greta hit 6 and Fred hit 18. Since Greta hit the least amount, we'll start with the multiplication fact, and Greta's letter goes first because she only hit 6. G times what would give us 18, or F for Fred? Well, we know that 6 times 3 is equal to 18, so this would be the multiplication equation that we would use using the letters G and F. To write it the division equation, we would do just the opposite. we would do the inverse, and we would start with F divided by 3 is equal to G, or the number of home runs that Greta hit.